Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Giant Mess, a super sloppy sports entertainment talk show that's hosted by a giant mess. That's me, the Real Cinch Neal Lynch. I'm a New York Giants football fan, Mets baseball fan, and I love movies, TV, and comedy. On today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about life. We got a visit from the Tooth Fairy. We had a friggin' earthquake. Shake much? And we had the Great Eclipse, quote unquote. Whoever is naming eclipses, we need to check your credentials. So without further ado, let's get it started up in here. Last episode on life, I had a cool, quick 3-hour breakdown of why my girlfriend dumped me. While also trying to recap a trip to Key West, Florida for spring break. It has been a miserable 2 weeks since then. I don't want to bring the mood down right off the tip, but when you get dumped in that kind of fashion, when it's that abrupt, out of nowhere, out of left field, you're not given a ton of reasons as to why. And so your mind starts to go into overdrive. As I mentioned last episode, that the night that I got back into my apartment after getting the heave ho, didn't fall asleep till 4 a.m. Had work the next day, was a zombie at work Monday and Tuesday. I mean, I feel like I'm just now getting out of a very, very Les Miserables type mood. And, people have told me you're going to take a while. You can't just snap your fingers. And at least for me, I would tend to dwell. I'm a dweller. I tend to like roll around in that shit like a pig in slop, where it's like, woe is me. And it's a nasty habit, and I don't recommend it. So it's time to refocus, right? Let's get back. We're not going to get back in the saddle per se, but we're going to refocus on the things that matter. So trying to put more time and energy and effort into my relationship with my daughter. And then just, I don't know. It sounds so corny, but like trying to get better 1% per day. And if you don't, okay, but at least you're trying. I don't know. Personally, I don't think any of this shit matters. Nothing fucking matters. But no, it does matter. And so, yeah. But it is abrupt. So not to dwell on it, not to hang on it. I mean, we spent enough time on it already, but it's so abrupt that it's like, I don't want to equate it to a death, but Jesus, or losing a limb, that's a bit dramatic. But it has been an adjustment. I'll say that much. And it has impacted my work, and it has impacted my relationship with my daughter. Trying not to let it happen. And I think, I keep saying this, but I think a younger me would not be handling it this well. Not that I'm handling it well, but, I am seeing the forest for the trees. Is that the expression? My daughter and I, well, that's not been going. I mean, that's been kind of a interesting couple weeks with my daughter. It's like a power struggle at this point. I think we're in the battle of the no's, where it's like I recommend or suggest a few things, and it's just no. You want to play Mario Kart? No. Do you want to draw? No. Do you want to do this? No. Do you want to put together a puzzle? No. You want to do an activity book? No. Okay. And then she'll come to me and say, do you want to do this pretend playing stuff? And I'm like, I literally gave you so many options, and you picked the one option that I just cannot stomach. The whole pretend play thing. I know it's like every fucking commercial you see with a daddy and daughter now. It's like the daddy is in full blown makeup and is sitting at a friggin' tea table with a tea set and a bunch of stuffed animals having the tea. And it's like, I just can't do it. So it's been, she now has this expectancy of like, we're going to do something every weekend. We're going to spend money, and we're going to do it big every weekend that I'm with you. And I guess that's on me a little bit. I don't know what is going on with her mother, but apparently my daughter loves hotels now. Oh, cool. Not motels. And I guarantee you're not staying at friggin' Econo Lodge or whatever the hell, Red Roof Inn. So, oh yeah, you like hotels. This is you're on the fast track to becoming a high end escort. No, no. So that's great. I have a feeling that when she's with her mom, like the mom just spoils her and spends a lot of money on her, buys her something every time, and it's just like that's not life, kid. I mean, we had a. I'm trying to take her to like little things here and there, keep her active. Try and not just sit on the couch the whole weekend. We went to see Mary Poppins Jr. at the middle school there, pouring rain. Got there sort of late. They didn't even check my ticket. I was like, I was having an aneurysm because I was like, it's cats and dogs. Did you see outside? Literal felines and canines pouring from the skies. And so I emailed the guy and he's like, yeah, show's still on. And he might as well have said, you fucking pussy. It's just like, you're in the back seat, F bomb. So yeah, I went there. This is the first, well, it's not the first play experience. She's seen a couple plays, but this is, it's always tricky because there is no pause button, you know. Um, I think is she able to I mean, they're grown adults who can't differentiate between a play, live action play and television. So, for her, for my expectancy for her to know that is a bit high, I think, but great time, good time, great time. I'm not familiar with plays, school plays, and like how that works. Not that there's like it's very intricate, but like when at intermission, I thought it was over. Like, yeah, they just like it ended, and then the lights came on, and everyone stood up, and I'm like, I guess, whoa, that was a short one. That I know it's a middle school, but that was a short one, and I kind of want my money back. They're like, no, dumbass, that was intermission. So I can only, I mean, imagine what is going through my daughter's head because she's asking me questions. I just don't have the answers. So, uh, yeah. But I mean, she enjoyed it. I will say the girls in this play, there were like I want to say definitely two, maybe three or four girls that were like, "Are you like you guys? Are you gonna like award worthy, like EGOT potential. Like I'm gonna see you on the silver screen next week. You're gonna be the female lead in a new HBO Max series. It's like just like I was like these chicks, these gals are 11 and 12. Get the fuck out of here. The boys, yikes, not so great. The boys had their issues. And they're children, Neil. They're children. You're gonna criticize children? Yeah, I am. Step it up, bro. No, they did a fantastic job. It was a great job. No one flubbed their lines. No big accidents happened. If something did happen, they quickly recovered. So yeah, I put on a great show. There was one there was one part where this woman gets hit or faints or some bullshit. And so she falls to the ground, but the way she was laying on the ground did not look comfortable. And it's like, oh, but you're unconscious. You can't move. So she was stuck in this very like catatonic, frozen, stuck position. So I felt for her big time. But yeah, great performance. She, my daughter was very into it for a hot minute where she was obsessed with the girl playing Mary Poppins. And there was another girl, like the other nanny, the evil nanny. Was there an evil nanny? And then another, I thought there was, it might have been the same girl. I don't freaking know, dude. All I do know is that my daughter was on the edge of her seat, mimicking the girl. Like every single movement, you know, dance move, my daughter was mirroring her move for move. And then we get up for intermission when I thought the play was over. Go to the restroom, come back, and she just couldn't stop fidgeting in the seat for the rest of the show. So I mean, it started around 7:30, 7:45, and then it got done at like 9:30, 9:45. I want to say. Does that sound right? No, that can't be it. Was it 2 hours? I think it might have been 2 hours, hour and a half, maybe. But that's tough. So, but yeah, I'm glad to do that kind of stuff with her, and I hope it pays off. But am I setting a bad precedent? It was what, 2 weeks later, we went to see Disney on Ice. This was the Christmas gift I got her. Our seats, well, newsflash, it's crazy that I've lived in this area now. Well, it's going to be 3 years in November here. And then it was 7 years before. So it's almost like a good 10-ish plus years of my life. Good quarter to a third of my life in this area. Have never been to Cure Insurance Arena in Trenton. Not once. Pretty sure. So not familiar with the layout. Again, pouring. And we get in. I'm looking at the ticket and I'm like, all right, I think that we have some pretty decent seats. And I see it's row GG. And I look down and I see on the left side, I say G. And on the right side of the stairs, I see G. So I'm like, oh, I guess that's how they do it. Like, why didn't they just put G instead of GG? I don't know. So we sit down in what I think are our seats, and lo and behold, a good, I don't know how long goes by. It had to be a good 15, 20 minutes of show we've watched. The women sitting behind us were just, they were like the sisters from The Simpsons, Marge's sisters, Thelma and Louise. No, Patty and Thelma. Oof. Just like, ugh, the worst. And they had a little girl with them. I assume it's the daughter, very young, very small. And I'm a big dude. And these seats are, not exactly, I mean, it's a stadium arena, but not exactly like stadium seating. Like I sit down and I sit upright, like the right way you're supposed to sit. No one can see, not even the adults. So I tried to do my best to like scrunch down in my seat as far as possible. And I was like, this is so goddamn uncomfortable, but at least the little girl behind me is having an experience, a good experience. And then the 15, 20 minutes go by and the whole row is empty for like the first section of this performance. And then these two people come in and they say, excuse me, we're just going to our seats. So they all file in. It's one big party of like 9 to 10, 12 people. And then they're short 2 seats. And they're looking at me and I'm like, oh no. So the woman comes over. And of course, the two behind me were just like the sit down police. You may not stand at all in this arena. You miss military crawl, or you could do the duck walk, crab walk. You can slither like a worm. You can do the worm. Like anytime someone's coming down the stairs and they stop for a moment just to get their bearings and to figure out where the fuck they're sitting, sit down, no one can see the show. It's like, all right, calm down. So this woman comes over and she's like, hey, I think you might be in our seats. And I was like, I might be, but let's just look at the thing. And so of course the women behind me are like, sit down, our kids. And so the woman, I got to give credit to this woman. She's like my age, probably younger, and just gave him a look and was just like, I'm not going to engage with you. You're friggin', you need, like, I don't know what's going on with your body, your mind, your soul, but like dial it down 1,000 notches. She didn't say any of that, but I could tell that she's thinking it. And so I bring out my ticket and I'm like, yeah, so it's this, it's this section. I'm in the right section, right? These are the right seats. And then there's this row, GG. Isn't this G? And she's like, no, this is G, not GG. I think GG is another, I don't know where GG is. And I was just like, okay. So I grab my daughter. We go up the stairs and I'm like there's no ushers. Usher. Zero ushers in this place. So there's no one I can ask. So like a fool, I go up to the concession stand and I asked the woman, I was like, hey, random question, but do you know the layout of this arena? Like, do you know the seating chart? And she's like, I work for Disney. And I'm like, but you don't really work for Disney, right? So it turns out, because I was at the top of the section, row G, it turns out GG is like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. The 7th row from the friggin' rink. So we were even closer than I thought we were. I mean, I liked the seats where we were. We were up, way up the top of the section, but now we're like 7th row. And yet again, I sit down and yet again, there's a little girl sitting behind me. And it's like, I can't see, daddy. No, I can't see the big, large man. Oh, I can't see. It was the Great Eclipse before the Great Eclipse. So, I feel like shit, but it's like, guys, I can't shrink. I'm trying. I'm on the Peloton every day trying to shrink, but cannot shrink in this moment at this time. There was a woman. So eventually we figured out. It's like, of course, daddy's like, all right, let's just switch seats. I'll sit behind him. I can probably see over him. You sit over here. You can sit over his daughter's head. Boom, we're all good. The moment that happens, my daughter turns to me and goes, can we switch seats? And I'm just like, you son of a bitch. And I'm like, no, 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 no more of this goddamn musical chairs that we're pulling for the first half of this show. We gotta focus. We got a performance in front of us. There was a woman next to me, or like the row ahead of me, who filmed the entire thing on her phone. The entire thing filmed on her phone. I was just like, what are we doing? Uh as far as the show goes, pretty cool. They had a scene with I forget what they started with, but they had a scene with Frozen where they had like snow falling from the rafters. I think it was snow. I hope it was snow. I thought that was pretty baller what they did with Frozen. They were able to have like it was like a remote control staircase or something that was like going around, which was cool. And the Moana section was pretty decent. I thought it was kind of weird. It's like these are islanders. They are from a tropical, exotic, like a tropical climate, humid, warm, sun, waves, breeze, coconuts. Like they could skate on the ice. So that was a bit. My brain kind of glitched on that one. And I'm very impressed with the shiny crab. I forget the shiny crab's name, but if you've seen the movie, huge giant crab. He sings the song Shiny, I'm so shiny, which they did that song. But they have this huge puppet that they made to look like the crab, the shiny crab, and they have this person that's kind of in it, and then they have the other skaters just kind of guide it and like gently push it where it needs to go. I was like, wow, this is some impressive shit. I dig this. They had like a quick section on Coco, which I love that one song. What's Sculler? Yeah, dude. Oh, what color is the sky, mi amor, mi amor? You tell me that it's red, mi amor, mi amor. And Poco Loco. That was about it for Coco. It was not a very long section. They had a section with Tangled, which I thought was cool, where it's the not dive bar, but the mead hall. I Have a Dream. That whole sequence. Thought that was pretty cool. And of course, Beauty and the Beast. How could you not? That makes sense. They're I get that. But of course, my daughter turns to me and goes, "Where is Ariel? And and she named someone else?" And I was just like, "You're kidding me, dude. It's like the two princesses that you are not going to get in the show. Those are the ones you really want to see." Got it. Overall, though, pretty cool experience. Outside of I guess it's always been this way, but like just the crowd, public experience, movies, it doesn't seem to happen. At least not the movie theater where I go. Maybe it's just the area, but like people just forget how to act in public. I don't know if that's a COVID thing, like post pandemic type shit, but it's just like, why are you filming the whole thing on your camera? Why are why are you standing up the whole time? We ended up getting, I ended up getting her a stuffed doggy. I don't even know where this stuffed doggy is from. It's a little white dog. I don't know what movie it's from at all. And she wanted this comically large, cartoonish lollipop. You know, the ones that are like swirly, the red and yellows and the blues and the greens and the whatnot, which take you like a lifetime and a half to finish. She's like, I want that. And I was like, you know what? That's a funny visual. Sure. I'm sure it is. I looked at I can't believe it has a nutritional label on it. And I made the mistake of reading it. And I was just like, oh my fucking God. I'll sign us up for the diabetes meds right after the show. So, but she loved it. And she had like, she had the, we had took some great pictures there. And we were on our merry way. So spent Easter alone. That was kind of brutal. Not really brutal, but it was just unusual, you know. But the Friday of Easter weekend, we have our well, my daughter had off, right? So I was in shambles. Oh, she was just like she asked me anything and everything, and the answer was sure. It was just sure, left and right, up and down, sure. Can I get a tattoo? Sure. Can I get piercing? Sure. You mind if I pick up meth? Sure. So, yeah, I mean, the screen time for her was just so detrimental. But we ended up going to Meathead's Cheesesteaks. We've been there before. I've talked about it before, but I'm going to double down on what I said before. Meathead's Cheesesteaks in Lawrence Township, top 5 cheesesteak I've ever had. Now, granted, have I had the best cheesesteaks in the world? Sadly, no. Living so close to Philadelphia, you'd think I would be a connoisseur of cheesesteak. And instead, nay, not at all. But I will go on a limb and say I have had a fair amount of cheesesteaks, most of them mediocre. This one, so good every single time. I always burn my tongue on it because I'm dying to get in that shit and mess around and get in my belly. So I always eat it way before I should. But the portions are enormous, decently priced, perfectly cooked, tender, cheesy. So good. Of course, while we're there, my daughter starts to do this head count by gender. Like every minute, I got an update on the minute. Dad, there are 5 boys in here and 2 girls. That's good to know. Thank you. I'll update the counter. Dad, there are 9 boys in here and 1 girl. And I'm like, okay, this could be the scene of something very bad coming up. Dad, there are blah, blah, blah. So then she's doing this gender count. I don't know why. And this person walks in. I'll say this person walks in. This person, I would think was assigned the sex of male at birth. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. And reminded me a lot of Lil Nas X. I'll say that. Like lots of pink, lots of piercings, had what can only be considered a purse, was wearing makeup, the whole 9. Just a very flamboyant person, colorful, bold. I have 0 issue with that. If that gives you that good time feeling inside, deep down, you're warm and fuzzy, have at it, Hoss. I'm not here to stop you from doing that. I don't hate on you for doing that. But my daughter's going to ask questions. And sure enough, she sees this person, and as soon as I saw the person, I'm like, here we go. Here we go. Daddy, boys, is that a boy? And I was like, you know what? We've been down this road before. I'm not going to assume gender. She's like, but, and I was like, so I just said, yeah, fuck it. Yeah, it's a boy. And it's like, well, but he's wearing pink, a lot of pink. And I was like, I wear pink. I'm a boy. Who gives a shit? I love the color pink. And I was like, but why does he have makeup on? And why is he, it's just like, why does he have a purse? And why is this? And I'm like, and she's pointing. So I mostly focused on the pointing. I was like, first and foremost, and let's just end the conversation after this. No more pointing. Don't point. Why? It's just rude. You don't look at someone and point and talk about them. It's just like a recipe for disaster. But I guess it's a good learning experience. I mean, I'm sure we'll look back on this 20, 30 years from now and she'll be like, you really fucked me up with your the way you addressed or answered my questions. And I'll be like, yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, it's visiting hours are over and I'll see you next week. Yeah, so Meathead's cheesesteaks, very good. What do we do for dessert? Oh no, she already had dessert because I got her a shake. That's right. Which that's all she ate. She didn't have like any of her hot dog. I think she managed to choke down that wiener, I think. Didn't eat the fries again, which is outlandish, but I'm just ordering her fries and then I'm eating the fries. And I don't feel bad about it one bit because of what this lifestyle change that I've made, where like I legitimately have not I just don't order delivery anymore. I don't do takeout. I don't buy lunch. It's all cooking. Thanks to Every Plate. Every Plate is the one meal delivery kit that you can afford. I am using Every Plate, so check it out. Code messy, giant mess. No. So came back, dropped off the leftovers, and then when I couldn't finish mine, by the way. I mean, that's how big this portion was. I ate half, and I saved half. And I was like, that's going to be real good tomorrow. Got to extend the good feelings. I got to wring every good feeling as much as I can until it's bone dry. Wring it out and milk it out. So we went to see Ghostbusters Frozen Empire in the theaters. We had seen Ghostbusters Afterlife recently. I want to say like probably 2 weeks before that, or a week or two before that, in preparation, because I was like, Ghostbusters 4 is out in theaters. She's like, oh, well, we can just watch it on TV, right? And I'm like, no, it's out in the theater. And I'm like, but we need to watch 3 first, right? Like we've watched 3 before, but I think you were actually 3. So you don't remember jack shit about it. So let's watch Ghostbusters Afterlife, and then we'll go see Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. So we watched Afterlife, and she hung in there. Super proud of her. I mean, it's a PG-13 movie. It's pretty tough stuff, but there's some scary parts that really got to her. But she managed to power through it. I think she asked me to turn it off once, and I was like, it's okay. It's not real. You can always close your eyes. You can always hug me. All that jazz. So when I went to see Ghostbusters Frozen Empire in the theater, I was like, am I doing the right thing here? Am I doing the wrong thing here? Like, this is tough. She's 5. People might think she's 6 because she's a big one. But we'll see. Let's just see. Maybe this is also a parenting lesson where it's like, hey, peep this. Fear is a real thing. Fear is a thing. And you have to learn how to confront fear, overcome fear, absorb the fear, feel the fear, because my processing of that emotion is non-existent. Don't know how to work it the correct way. So I was like, maybe this is a good teaching moment where it's like, okay, if you're scared, you have a couple options. Close your eyes, blah, 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 blah. So she, again, I think she only really got scared when that big horned, I can't remember the friggin' dude's name. The monster ghoul ghost type thing with the big horns. When that thing came on screen, it was like, I'm scared, dude. I'm scared. So yeah, you can poop your pants a little bit. So, but she, during Afterlife and even Frozen Empire, because she's so, she was so used to watching Ghostbusters 1 and 2, like especially around Halloween when it was like on nonstop loop. And, it was made in 84 and 89. So of course, Bill Murray, Harold Ramis, Winston Zeddemore, Ray Stantz, Dan Aykroyd, those guys younger. Janine, younger. Sigourney Weaver, younger. They're all younger. It was 40 freaking years ago. Which I can't not believe it's been that freaking long. 40 years. Whoa. And they were in like their 30s when that came out, I want to say. So yeah, they're 70 plus, 60 plus, 70 plus now. And that took her a while to overcome and get past. It was like, whoa, Daddy, why do they look like that? And I'm like, the time, like literally just the earth spinning and revolving around the sun a bunch of times. That's what happened. And so eventually she settled in. But it is kind of interesting that she is like me in that sense where like I get fixated on something that sticks out to me. And it takes me a while to get past it. Like, what? But that doesn't add up. Good movie, decent movie. I see like there are probably some diehard fans that are like, why are they going this family route? And I kind of have to agree, but it's not so egregious. You know what I mean? Like they're focusing in on Egon's, daughter and granddaughter and that family, the brother, and then Gary Gruberson played by Paul Rudd, who, is, his whole character arc storyline is he's the boyfriend who's trying to kind of step into the role of stepdad or stepfather but it's very awkward. He's unsure of himself. He's not sure, it's just like he's nervous and he wants to, he can't be the kid's best friends. He needs to be a parental figure, authority figure. And so that's his journey. You have the daughter who, I mean, what? Afterlife came out in 21. I guess it was probably filmed in 2019 or 2020 when she was most likely like maybe 13 or 14, but playing an 11 or 12-year-old. Probably wrong about that. Here, she looks like a full grown adult in like trying to play a child. Like she's like, I just, apparently in the movie, I think she's 16. And her whole storyline or arc is like the Ghostbusters, the four of them, they get in trouble like hunting down this one ghost and causing a lot of damage throughout the city. And so the mayor is, spoiler alert, I'll give you a second. The mayor is the friggin' jerk off from the first movie, from the EPA or whatever. The assistant to the mayor, mayor's aide, I don't know. That guy somehow is mayor, which is oh so fitting. It's like, yeah, of course that would be the case. And so he tries to shut them down. I think he does end up kind of temporarily shutting them down, which is like, how did we not learn from the first one? Remember you like tried to shut them down and then the world almost ended and now you're going to try and shut them down again and the world's going to try and end again. So the daughter cannot go on the missions with them and because she's under the age of 18. But yet there's this whole storyline arc of like I could be completely misinterpreting this, but she's a lesbian. They don't explicitly say that, but she becomes friendly with a female ghost who's roughly the same age as her. They have a lot of deep, kind of intimate discussions. There's a lot of like making eyes and shit, And I don't think they kissed. Could be wrong about that, but it was ultimately like, wow, no one understands me like you. I was like, oh, this is definitely her, letting everyone know, hey, I'm not into dudes. I'm into women and I want to be with this ghost. It's like, okay. So I mean, she liked it and that's all that matters. I didn't mind it. I liked it. I thought it was decent. I mean, I think it did fairly well at the box office. I think it eclipsed 90 million or 100 million at the box office, which is, pretty decent in this climate, in these times. But I think we have what could be a full-fledged, full-blown Ghostbusters fanatic, which is cool. And I totally embrace it. I'm curious to see where they take it from here because you can tell they're still trying to make, they know that they cannot rely on Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd and God damn it, I hate that I forget his name. The love of God. Ernie Hudson. Shit. God. We can't rely on them forever, right? They're retirement age. They should be retired. They even make jokes about it in the movie. But especially Dan Aykroyd, I think Dan Aykroyd lent a degree of like, okay, this is still feels and looks and is Ghostbusters. But I think that transition has been tough of like, we can't really rely on these dudes to come in and make cameos every time. We really need these four to take off. And I don't know that that's happening. It's like if you didn't have Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd and Ernie Hudson and Janine, is it gonna survive? And so that's why I think and I remember, I think it was Aykroyd talking about it. Like, we need to find the next generation. And he said that he's all for expanding it past the four people. Where like anybody can be a Ghostbuster if they want. Everybody can be a Ghostbuster if they want, which kind of makes it less special, right? It's just like, well, anybody can be a Ghostbuster, then what the fuck? So I think I think they're really trying to set it up as to like, okay, like here's it's Gary Gruberson is going to be the stepdad, and then you have the mom, the brother, sister, daughter, Slimer making an appearance. Pretty cool. I thought like when Slimer flew through the boy, Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things, that he would have like a cool, funny quip, It's just like, I wish they had, I wonder if they had, because Patton Oswalt is in this as well. And they also have Kumail Nanjiani. big part, big role. Those two dudes, did you just have them take a run through the script and be like, hey, let's just punch this up here, do this here, this here. I thought Patton Oswalt was his scene was pretty cool. And then Camille Nanjiani, it was kind of like that ultimately, that storyline and character arc, I think paid off. And it was like very close to being that a big moment for like a hair raising goosebumps, not exactly like not on par with like when Captain America picks up Mjolnir in Avengers when everyone lost their minds. Not quite on that level, but bigger than what it was. I appreciated how they were trying. They did a very slow intro of like, we're not going to make a big deal of this guy, and then slowly and surely you start to find out, oh no, this is the Fire Master, which it's like, well, we have already had the Key Master and the Gatekeeper, now we have the Fire Master. Okay, yeah, I guess that opening scene with the firefighters from the late 1880s when they went into that room, that was pretty baller. That was pretty cool. When you first like all the dudes, all the people in that room are frozen solid. It's good movie, good movie. I'm just curious to see where they take it next. I forget what the setup was, but like, oh, that was another thing. Like Ernie Hudson is super uber rich, and he just started this like offshoot Ghostbusters research facility and didn't tell any of the four, like, I guess, Ghostbusters that are kind of inheriting the mantle, taking the torch, if you will. Like, that's odd. But it is, it's like, so we're just going to keep all these, I don't know. I don't know. But, yeah, I just don't know I don't know that those four, Carrie Coon and Finn Wolfhard and Paul Rudd, and I don't even know what the actress's name is. That is so pathetic. McKenna Grace is Phoebe Spangler. She's 17 years old. Oh shit, she is 17 years old. Oh, interesting. She just looks. She looks way older than that. Hey. I got, again, operating on so little sleep. My daughter asked when we were standing in the concession line, she's like, can I have this? And it was just a massive bag of Twizzlers. And I was like, yep, sure. Nothing is a no today. And she ate a lot of that. And then she ended up eating some of my popcorn, sitting in my lap. She did not have to go potty during the movie, which was incredible. So I got to give her kudos for that. But yeah, it was just that a lot of the plot lines and storylines to fulfill these character arcs was just like, I don't know. It felt like they could have really, I mean, other than, I'm trying to think, like Bill Murray in the first one, and I guess in the second one too, the subplot is always Bill Murray and Sigourney Weaver, right? It's just like, that's what it is. It always was that. And so, but I felt like the majority of the screen time and the majority of the movie is spent on trying to like figure out what's going on and trying to solve, trying to capture, action based. When they have this many subplots, like there's a subplot with the son, there's a subplot with the daughter, and there's a subplot with the stepdad. It's just like, oof. It's almost like, well, we can't really focus on what is. I mean, that's the most compelling thing to me is the mythology of all this shit, the occult. When Dan Aykroyd talks, when Patton Oswalt talks about like, they give you the backstory, they give you the narrative, the exposition about, this character, that ghost, this monster, da 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 da, and like how it relates in history and all that shit. That's what I'm more into at this point. And yet they kind of are like shoehorning this family dynamic, family issues thing into it because, and my assumption is because they know that a lot of the kids growing up that saw Ghostbusters 1 and 2 in the 80s are now parents and are going to see it with their kid. And so there has to be that relatable factor of what, is on screen, my guess. I don't know. To me, I think that they get a little too caught up in that. But again, it's not like to the point where it's like, is this even Ghostbusters, bro? But very curious to see how they, my guess is like the next iteration I don't know, they expand the force or something to something. I don't know. But I'm hoping that, this will be interesting because like you can see they were borrowing a lot of elements from the first one and the second one in Afterlife and in this. I mean, they kind of went back to the well in Afterlife, right? We're going with Gozer again and the Keymaster and the Gatekeeper. And they kind of well, they didn't really go back to the well in this one. They just made one reference to Ghostbusters 2, which was um after they had caused the damage, the new the news of their damage to the city comes out, and the host is like, this harkens back to when the Ghostbusters back in the late 80s, did all that damage with the Statue of Liberty. And you see the Statue of Liberty walking, down the street. Um, and you see the guy say, what a debacle that was. And it's like, it's kind of meta because a lot of people don't like Ghostbusters 2. I'm one of the people that kind of likes it, Ghostbusters 2. So thought that was cute. But yeah, Kumail Nanjiani is like, ooh, it just feels like on the precipice of being like the guy that could carry the franchise. That's a crazy statement, I know, coming out of my mouth, but I just feels like, explore that a little bit more. Anyway. uh so yeah, that was a good time. And then spent Easter by myself, which was kind of weird. But again, Easter is just like not, I don't know that it feel like Easter is losing its luster. Like it just can't compete with Halloween, Christmas, Thanksgiving. I don't know. It's just one of those things where, as a kid, I don't even think like my daughter didn't really even get into it this year. I don't think she didn't even know. It's, yeah, Easter. Hmm. Ugh. So yeah, the my daughter has, as I've mentioned before, shark teeth. Where I didn't know they were called shark teeth. I didn't know this was a thing. I honestly thought that my daughter was an X-Man, a mutant of some sort, and I need to enlist the services of one Trask and his crew. But no, a it happens to kids where they have their baby tooth in the front, and then their grown-up tooth, the adult tooth, just comes in right behind it. So it looks like he has two rows of teeth. And it's been like that for, it feels like forever, months and months and months and months. And we're just like, and we're constantly, her mother is just constantly like, we'll go to the dentist if it doesn't fall out by this time. We'll go to the dentist, and the time comes and it doesn't fall out. And it's like, we'll go to the dentist. It's like, all right. So we didn't go to the dentist. But the tooth was super wiggly to the point where she's playing. I could see her playing with it, playing with it, playing with it. And I'm making dinner, and I come and sit down, and she's like, Daddy, my tooth fell out, and I have it in my pocket. And I was like, for real? It fell out? Let me see. And so she kind of shows me her mouth and tooth. And I was like, but it doesn't look like it's missing. How did this happen? Like it looked like all your teeth were kind of together. And then all of a sudden now they're like more spread out. So I mean, there's definitely a gap, but then I see gaps in other places. I think your baby teeth are just spreading out as your jaw or mouth or whatever grows bigger. And so she's like, I tricked you. And I'm like, okay. And then as she's saying that, I'm like, motherfucker, I don't have any cash. It's now like 8, 9 o'clock at night. I can't just say like, hey, let's go to the ATM. Like I can't just do that with her. So I'm like, of course, her tooth's going to fall out. She's going to put it under her pillow, and I'm going to leave a note, an IOU. It's 45,000. It's pretty big. I was like, this could not have come at a worse time. I have zero money. And so then she kept talking about it. And I was like, did your tooth fall out or not? And she's like, yes. And I'm like, but where is it? And so we looked and looked and looked, couldn't find it. I was like, all right, well, if she's not, we'll just see what happens. I'm gonna roll the dice and say that her tooth did not fall out. And I used the excuse that night. I was like, well, the tooth fairy kind of needs the tooth, right? She needs to see and find the tooth under your pillow in order to leave the money. It's a transaction. It's a trade. It's a swap. She gives you money. She takes the tooth. If there's no tooth, no money. So I kind of got away with that excuse. And then the next day, I'm making a huge, way too much mountain out of a freaking molehill in my mind about, did I do the right thing, and just overthinking it as per usual. And we get a note from the nurse. Your daughter lost her tooth at lunch. I'm like, oh, all right. I was right. And of course, my daughter wanted to talk to her mom on Wednesday night, the night that she thought she lost a tooth. And so she's asking her questions, and she's getting the mom, my ex, is giving her answers that it's like, I would not have answered like that. Okay. And because you answered like that, now I have to, oh boy, now I have to, now I have to recalibrate and adjust. And I've already said one thing, you're saying another thing. Cool. So those stupid, silly little things that parents should talk about, but when you're divorced and it's like, wasn't a great divorce and blah, 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 you're not really friends. You don't really talk about that stuff. And it's like, maybe I should have talked about that stuff with her beforehand. But anyway, she had a lot of questions about the tooth fairy for sure. Where's the tooth fairy from? Is the tooth fairy a woman or a man? Why, how does the tooth fairy know that I lost my tooth? And I was like, well, the tooth fairy gets like a notification or an alert, like, okay, but what happens before smartphones? The tooth fairy had a beeper? Yeah, it did. Just rolling with the times. So she did lose the tooth that next day at lunch. I pick her up and I'm like, you lost your tooth, huh? She's like, yep. And I'm like, but you have it, right? You like, it fell out and you have it on you. And she's like, yep, it's in my bag. We get home, have dinner, and like getting ready for bed. And like, luckily that morning I went and got some cash out. Thank Jeebus. And so I'm like feeling good about, I'm like, all right, I have the money. I feel like 3 singles is enough. I don't know what I got as a kid. I think that most it was $1, which is like, is like $1,000,000 now with inflation. But lo and behold, she can't find it. She can't track it down. Has no idea where it is yet again. And I'm like, oh my God, I just told her last night that if there's no tooth, no money. Oh, fuck. So she's like, do you think the tooth fairy is still calm if there's no tooth under my pillow? And I was like, there's an exception to every rule. She's like, what are you talking about? What is exception? So I was like, well, they can be notified when it falls out, you know. So they trust that, when they got that message that it fell out, that it indeed fell out. They don't deal in fake news, right? They get the honest to God truth. They get a notification when it falls out. And they get a notification when it's under the pillow. They don't get a notification under the pillow. Just like going way too in depth on something. But she was like, "What does a tooth fairy look like?" I Google it and I pull up images. I'm like, "Yeah, like this." And then there's the movie with The Rock as the tooth fairy, and she's like, "Tooth fairy can be a boy," and I was like, it's like, yeah, sure. And then there's like these fucking, I don't know what it is. I mean, I guess it could make for a good horror movie, but there's like a poster for a horror movie about a tooth fairy, and she's like, "That's the tooth fairy," and I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. This is where I should have put like, should have looked at this before. Just look for it, select it, open it. Don't show her all the results. Don't show her the whole page of results. Where the safe search is off for daddy's eyes only." And then she's like, Where's the tooth fairy from? And I'm like, hey, why don't we ask Alexa? I'm like, hey, Alexa, where's the tooth fairy from? Alexa, without hesitation, goes, the tooth fairy is a fictional character from blah, blah, blah. The state of Texas, which that's got to be wrong, right? Tooth fairy's from Texas? Lone Star State? I don't know. I guess I kind of buy it. People from Texas do like to collect teeth from the people the neighboring states that don't have their teeth. So I don't know. I was like, hopefully she doesn't know what fictional is, but we just had our parent teacher conference and she definitely, they play a game called Fact or Fiction. It's like, ooh. So yeah, she probably knows. But so then you get her all done. I mean, she still looks like she's into it. She's enthusiastic and interested. And so I get her ready for bed, go to bed. I wait about hour and a half, 2 hours. And then I'm like, all right, it's showtime for the tooth fairy. Tooth fairy, ETA coming in hot. I put the 3 singles in an envelope. I then decide I'm going to write a note on the envelope that says to Brielle from TF, just kind of like, and I'm going to do it with my opposite hand. So I write with my right, I'm going to write it with my left. That way, there's no way she can tie it back to me because she's seen me write. Like I'm dealing with a fucking Sherlock Holmes here. Bringing Batman hot on the trail. So yeah, I'm like, I'll write with my left hand. I've never written with my left hand in my life. No big deal. And so I wrote it and I was like, this looks bad, but it's legible. And no, she can't tie it back to me. So I take the envelope with the 3 singles and I start to walk towards her bedroom, which is not that far away. But this walk felt like a goddamn voyage to Middle Earth. And every step of the way, this fucking floor creaked. Did I notice that the floor creaked before? Sure, a little bit, but not like this. I was just like, oh my God, there's no way. So I tiptoe, avoid, it's a tight space everywhere in this goddamn place. I tiptoe, I avoid all the shit. I'm like going so painfully slow so it doesn't creak. Still creaks. I get to her door frame. I get like maybe a step or 2 in. I'm like, I just need another like 2 or 3 feet to extend and get it in there, get it under there. Because I was like, to lift the pillow and get it under there, how do parents do that? Flawless execution every time. How do they do that? Because I'm trying to like tiptoe my way in, and there's a little creak, and she like tosses, and then I step again. There's a little creak. She tosses back the other side. So she I can't believe how sensitive she is to the noise because she has fucking a noisemaker and a humidifier that also makes noise. And it's just like that should you should be out. So tried and tried, couldn't do it, couldn't pull it off. And then I was like, this is never gonna work. It doesn't matter what time of night I come in here. She's gonna know. So I think that I went way later. Like this had to be after midnight, maybe close to 1:00 in the morning. And so I was just like, I'm just gonna go in. Just gonna walk in. I'm not gonna tiptoe. I'm not gonna like Grinch this shit. I'm just gonna just go full bore. And of course, I knock into a chair. I knock into a wall. Like it's just like, well, you didn't have to go like the bus from Speed. Like you have brakes. You have a steering wheel. Like there's no okay. So I ended up just kind of like tossing it into the corner because she has like that. She still has that small. Oh my God, Paw Patrol bed. It's like there's sides and there's a back. I kind of just like dumped it in the corner where the pillow is and got out of there. And I don't think she picked up on it, but yeah, she was. I guess she was pretty excited, to get that cash. She put it in her other envelope where she keeps a lot of her paper money, and she's like, "Ooh, I think I have like $10 now. Oh, can I buy like a castle? Is that on the table? Like, is that possible?" So, just trying to talk to her about money and stuff like that. It's been trying to say the least. The concept of the tooth fairy likely evolved from European folklore traditions where it was customary to bury or burn children's teeth to prevent misfortune or to ensure good luck. What the fuck was going on in the past in history? What the fuck? And we're stuck with this shit and trying to, and like I didn't know what the tooth fairy, like, why is there a tooth fairy? Do we need a tooth fairy? Burn the teeth. Over time, the tooth fairy emerged as a benevolent character who exchanges lost teeth for money or small gifts. I mean, people like it's insane. Like, did one kid lose a tooth, and the dad was like, "Man, we are real down on our luck right now." And the mom's like, I was talking with Gladys at the hanging of the witch earlier, and she was like, "Oh, we should bury it." She said her uncle buried it, and like then he found food. Just like that's good luck in the past. And so now we had to do it because some guy or gal back in like the 1500s burned his kid's tooth and like something good happened to him. Cool. Hey, this is an actual question on Google because I was looking up like how much should a parent give their child for a lost tooth, baby tooth. Actual question on Google. You know how like you can do your search and then you scroll down and then there are other like related questions, relevant questions, or popular questions. Is $20 too much for the tooth fairy? Fucking yes, dude. Yes. Maybe in the year, I mean, it could be as early as next year because inflation's out of fucking control. But $20, come on, guy. What are we doing? National Tooth Fairy Day is on August 22nd. So mark your calendars. While the Tooth Fairy is a cherished childhood tradition, parents often use it as a way to celebrate and mark the milestones of growing up. From a scientific perspective, the loss of baby teeth is a natural part of the dental development process, making way for the growth of permanent adult teeth. Yeah, no shit. So it's a big moment. Did it feel like a big moment? I don't know. That's one thing that's interesting about her is like what I would expect there to be when I expect there to be like a big moment. She maybe she just is able to mask or bottle up the excitement. I'm like, I think I'm more excited about this than you. Get up, dude. Get up. So, yeah, it's a tooth fairy. Then we had an earthquake. That's the biggest earthquake I've ever been in. Now it's like I know there are people out in California, in LA, San Fran, what have you, that have been through that earthquake every other week, according to the way that they act. This was the biggest earthquake they've ever been in. Wasn't entirely sure it was an earthquake at first. I was like, whoa, they're doing like construction. It's either like heavy construction, like right next to me. There's a military operation with like a giant fucking helicopter or something like that coming in, swooping over, and then just kept on going. The rumbling kept on going to the point where it's like there's some serious shaking going on. And I was like, all right, earthquake. Don't know how this is possible. I don't think I think earthquake. I was just like, it was instinct to go over to my door frame and stand in the door frame until it was over. I think it lasted like 30 seconds to a minute, it felt like. And yeah, I mean, I had been in it. So I think I had been in an earthquake before. I think I've talked about this, but I was at a Celtics game at the Garden in Boston. And I remember sitting there with my dad. I was probably 8 or 9 maybe. And like there was like a little bit of shaking and the like asbestos fell from the rafters. All the dust and whatnot came snowing down. I was like, snow. I still got my tongue. And now I have Mr. Thermaloma, whatever the fuck it is. Yeah, so the biggest earthquake. You check the magnitude on it, it's 4.8, I think was the magnitude, which seems higher than I would have expected. And did a little research on earthquakes. I mean, like, we just don't get earthquakes, dude. I've lived in the Northeast my entire life, just about. We just don't get earthquakes. And it turns out, actually, we get earthquakes all the time. They're just not of like a great magnitude. They're all like 2.5 or lower, 3.5 or lower, 3 or lower. But like there was an earthquake in New Jersey, I guess like 2 weeks before that or a month before that. And like there was another earthquake in 2017. Don't remember that. So apparently the earth, she be moving and gyrating and shaking and grooving a lot, pretty much almost all the time. It's just that, like some movements are bigger than others. There's a guy I follow on Twitter. He tweeted, LA earthquake Twitter will never get old. Always incredible that a city that melts down from a light drizzle somehow has jokes for days when the planet shakes. It's like, yeah, dude. They fucking lost their minds over rain, God forbid it ever snows there. And then another personality I follow, he works for Barstool, movie guy, said, earthquake, someone call The Rock. Like to think in real time of that kind of shit, color me green, dude. I'm envious as fuck. So, like I said, I did some research. Magnitude measures the energy released at the earthquake's source, while intensity measures the strength of shaking at a specific location. There's tectonic plate movement. Most earthquakes are caused by the movement of tectonic plates. When these plates side pass, collide, or separate from each other, they can create seismic activity. Yeah, got that. Ring of fire. The majority of earthquakes occur around the Pacific Ocean in a region known as the Ring of Fire, which I think feels like something I've heard or seen in Pacific Rim or Godzilla. Can't remember. But it was like, oh, there's earthquakes that you feel down underneath the ocean. That's Godzilla. Farting, scratching. And I asked because there was no warning. And I was saying to my my mom, was like, how's there no warnings? Like, we have a warning system for tornadoes, hurricanes, a lot of the big time weather or natural disaster events, we have warning systems for. How come we don't have warning systems for earthquakes? There's no like, hey, heads up, earthquake coming in 5, you know? And according to this, it says Chat GPT, which I'm obsessed with right now. Some religions have developed early warning systems that can provide seconds to minutes of advance notice before shaking begins. This allows people to take cover and mitigate potential damage. My assumption is that is because it's friggin' New Jersey and the Northeast where we just don't get big time earthquakes. There's no dude or guy or lady monitoring this seismic activity to be like, hey, send out the notification system. Or we haven't set it up because it's like, what are the odds, dude? What are the friggin' odds? But maybe we'll get one now. I don't know. So, biggest earthquakes in the history of the planet. There was one in 1960, May 22nd, 1960, in Chile. The Valdivia earthquake, also known as the Great Chilean earthquake, is the most powerful earthquake ever recorded. The magnitude estimated between 9.4 and 9.6 caused widespread destruction and triggered tsunamis that affected Hawaii, Japan, and the Philippines. 9.4, 9.6, which is double. Yeah, pretty much double what we had recently. The day after Christmas, 2004, you probably remember this one. The Sumatra and Andaman earthquake in the Indian Ocean was an undersea earthquake, had a magnitude of 9.1 and 9.3, and triggered a series of two tsunamis affecting countries around the Indian Ocean. And it resulted in one of the deadliest natural disasters in history. The Tohoku earthquake in 2011, March 11th, 2011, Japan, known as the Great East Japan earthquake, struck off the coast, magnitude of 9. Again, triggered those tsunamis, and it led to the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster. Don't remember that. Whoa. Then the Alaska earthquake, 1964, March 27th, 1964, magnitude of 9.2. The Good Friday earthquake struck south central Alaska. Quake caused significant damage across Alaska, generated tsunamis, and affected coastal regions as far away as California. Damn. November 4th, 1952, the Kamchatka earthquake in Russia, near the Kamchatka Peninsula in Russia, generated a destructive tsunami in the Pacific Ocean. Okay. So, yeah. What about the biggest earthquakes in America? Great question. Talked about Alaska, the Great Alaska earthquake. The next step would be the Cascadia Subduction Zone earthquake, located off the coast of the Pacific Northwest. There are no historical records, but geological evidence suggests that it has generated earthquakes with magnitudes exceeding 9 in the past. The most recent major event occurred in 1700 and likely had a magnitude around 9. Okay. History is written by the victors. Seems like someone fucked some shit up and then blamed it on an earthquake and said, yeah, this is this region. They're dealing out 9s all over the place. And there's the New Madrid earthquakes, plural, from 1811 to 1812. 3 powerful earthquakes struck the New Madrid seismic zone in central United States between December 1811 and February 1812. I didn't even know there was a New Madrid seismic zone. The largest earthquake was estimated to have a magnitude between 7.5 and 7.9 and occurred on December 16th, 1811. What they don't have here, and this is probably my idiot brain not doing the correct prompt in Chat GPT, but Chat GPT, they even have a disclaimer, it makes mistakes, you know? I mean, the earthquake that I had talked about with my mom was the most famous one that I remember was the World Series in '89, Giants Athletics in San Fran when they were playing in Candlestick, which you can look that up on YouTube. They still have that clip on YouTube, but I saw it live and it was just like, what the fuck? And then they showed the damage and it was just like, okay. Excuse me. The Loma Prieta earthquake, October 17th, 1989, around 5 p.m. local time. It cost about $6 billion in damage. 63 were killed. Almost 3,800 people were injured. So it had a magnitude of 6.9. Wow. Holy fuck. Okay. We stopped at between 7.5 and 7.9, but yeah, there's probably more. I mean, that's a 6.9. I would have thought for sure that was like an 8. I mean, like they would show, I mean, the stadium itself was cracked and damaged. They showed like a bridge or some kind of highway where that collapsed. Ugh. Ooh, baby. Which also makes me wonder, like, how the fuck do we have roads and streets and highways? Like, it just seems like uh, I had a thought that streets and roads and highways, pavements, paved parking lots, and all that bullshit asphalt that we're putting on the earth might be pissing off the earth, or it might be prohibiting the earth from moving, like she likes to do, just her natural movements. She likes to move, and like the roads, it's like someone taping you, putting duct tape, like wrapping you in duct tape, and you're like trying to like move out of it. That's how I felt with paved roads and parking lots in the planet Earth. Like maybe we shouldn't have these paved roads and parking lots and concrete because it's prohibiting the planet from shaking a groove thing, baby. Yikes, dude. Yeah, that was an actual thought I had. And I'm still sticking by it. I think it definitely influences the earth and how she shakes and rattles and rolls. So I looked at the biggest earthquakes in New Jersey. There have been 40, like, it's every other day. There's a website, if you go to the usgs.gov or earthquake.usgs.gov/earthquakes or something, you can see there's just the earthquake every day, pretty much. There have been 45 earthquakes in the New Jersey area with a magnitude of 2.5 or higher. The biggest one ever recorded in the area was in 1884, August of 1884. It was a 5.3. Next one was a 5.1 in July of 1783. Another 5.1 at an undisclosed location in Jersey, New York area. December of 1737 was a 5.1. Next on the list, the 2024 White House Station, New Jersey earthquake, which happened on April 5th of 2024 of 4.8. I'm looking at this list. There hasn't been an earthquake that big in fucking 200 plus years. It's just like, holy shit, 200 years, 150 to 200 years. We have not seen an earthquake in New Jersey like we did on that Friday. So forgive us, fucking California, and all the places that have big earthquakes on the reg. Like, have a little empathy, dude. We're not used to this shit. So yeah, there was, I mean, the most recent one before that one, there was like another one in Bedminster on that same day, like 2 hours later, 3.7. I didn't remember feeling that one. But like the next closest one, like largest magnitude earthquake in New Jersey before that Friday the 5th, I guess there was one in Marlborough in 2020, September 2020, a 3.1. Don't remember that. August of 2003 in Milford, don't remember that. February of 2009, Victory Gardens at 3.0. Yeah, so I mean, like, I guess 4.8, yeah, that's when you really start to feel it. Not so much once you get into the threes. But that White House Station had another earthquake in 1957, 3.8. So my mother asked me if I had a to-go bag. I was like, a to-go bag for earthquakes. Yeah, of course. I have like 3 of them, one for each room. Get the fuck out of here, dude. A to-go bag. Well, you got to be prepared. Prepared for a fucking earthquake in New Jersey. What are we doing? Yeah. So that same weekend, the daughter and I went for an unexpected walk to Market Fair, which is, it was cold and it was windy, and I did not expect to be on that kind of trek to a mall. It's not that far a walk, but it's a good 20-minute, 30-minute walk. And we walked there. I don't know why. She just wanted to get out of the house or the apartment, and she just like can't stand being at this place. It's basically what the takeaway is. Like, everything that she says or does is geared towards please not that place. I'll do anything outside that place and go anywhere. So yeah, we walked to Market Fair on a whim and talked to her about crosswalks, how those work. How do we know when to go? How do we know to stop? How do we know why don't the cars hit us? We walked to this toy store. They have a really great toy store there, but she asked for everything in the store. Like, can I have this? Can I have this? Can I have this? And I just it I'm sure I mean, I know there are better parents than me that are better equipped to handle a lot of that, where it's like, I just hate saying no all the time. It was just like, can I have this? No. Can I have this? No. Can I have this? No. Why? And so it's like, well, I don't have any money. She's like, why don't you have any money? And I'm like, well, I think I picked the wrong major. It's like, how far back you want me to go on this one? So eventually she's like, you have zero money. And I was like, all right, calm down. Okay. I don't have any money on me. I just spent thousands of dollars on a trip to get dumped and the car ride home from that trip. So we're a little cash thin right now. We're not like flush with cash. And then I tried to explain to her like what a budget is. She's 5, FYI. Trying to explain to her what a budget is. And I was like, well, I make X amount of money in a month or a year or a week. And a lot of that money has to go to this apartment. I know you might not think that this costs any money, but it actually does. So shockingly more expensive than you would think. And then food. And then, I pay for entirely way too many streaming services that has every movie under the sun that you don't watch. We just went to Disney on Ice. I took you to Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. So it's like, she was just saying, this isn't fair. And, we never do anything. I don't want to go back to that place, and just saying like, we need to go somewhere. Let's go somewhere. And it's just like, but where do you want to go? I don't know, but we need to go anywhere but home. Cool. All right. Got the note on that one. But, the next day, she was bummed. I think she might have understood at the end of my like long-winded chat to her about like money and how, and everything is free. And then sure enough, that was either that night or the next night, we're reading Bluey. There's a book called Bluey's 5-Minute Stories. And there's a chapter or a story about Hammer Barn. And if you're familiar with Bluey, Hammer Barn is where like the moral of the story is the grass is not greener on the other side. And you shouldn't compare yourself to others' happiness, which I constantly do. And I cannot turn it off, even though I know it's wrong. And I'm trying to teach my daughter it's wrong. Can't do it myself. But anyway, it's like, just be happy with what you have. And that's like actually says it in the book. Like the mom says, you have to learn how to be happy with what you have. Not everything is free. And I just remember repeating that line like too many times to her and looking her dead in the eye and being like, you have to be happy with what you have. And in a way, I almost felt like I was talking to myself. I was like, I'm literally talking to myself right now. I get why people don't want to hang out with me. Like this is I understand now. So yeah, she's like, what? And I was like, be happy with what you have. Everything isn't free. And I think she got it, but I don't know. Because we ended up going to the park the next day, free park. And she played like in the jungle gym for probably like 5-10 minutes. And then it was like, I want to go home. And I'm like, okay. We get in the car to go home. She's like, where are we going now? I was like, well, home. And she's like, no, we can't go home. We're not going home. Where are we going? And I was like, oh, we'll go. There's this cool place. And I said the name of the place. And she's like, really? We're going to go there now? She's like, where is it? And I was like, California. And she's like, no, you're joking. I'm like, oh, no. It's nearby. We'll be there soon. So I kept repeating this name over and over again of this place. And she's like, in retrospect, probably an awful move on my part. But I couldn't help myself. So I was just so fed up with like, I'm failing this weekend as a father. Like I just have not provided you with any cool, awesome experiences. You just don't want to do anything with me unless it involves a hotel or me buying you things. It's like, so I could sense she was getting more and more excited. She's like, really, we're going? And then I basically gave her the name of our complex where we live, which she didn't know that's the name of the complex. So I just kept repeating that. And she's like, we're going home, aren't we? And I didn't say no. All I said was, we're going to. And I repeated the name of the complex, which she didn't know was the name of the complex. And so when we got to, I'm like, all right, we're at, and I gave the name of the complex. And she got so pissed off, like angry, crying. This is unfair. We never go anywhere. We never do anything. And I was just like, there's so much to do in this place. I know it doesn't look like it or feel like it, but we can play Mario Kart. We can do a puzzle. You have books. You have toys. Like, you have so much. Like, literally, you have so much. Please take advantage of that. But she wants to go to a hotel. Cool. And whenever I asked her, like, hey, okay, well, name it. Where do you want to go? Couldn't do it. So, yeah, that was a rough weekend. And I'm going to have her again this weekend. It's just like, yeah. Yeah, that following Monday was the Great Eclipse. The Great Eclipse. Total solar eclipse for one stretch of the planet. Yeah, I don't know. I can't get up for this kind of shit anymore. It was kind of a major priority at work, make sure that, because we have stations that are in the path of totality, which is like probably going to be the name of a band or a movie coming soon, the path of totality. And I watched, because our app that I work for, there's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stations or something like that was in the path of totality. And so they all had live news covering it. And I watched every single one of those live newscasts, and it was the same fucking thing over and over again. It's like, ooh, look, wow, and it's dark, and then now it's not dark. And it's just, I don't know. As a kid, I assume as a kid you're probably pretty pumped, but there's a ton of fucking adults that are into this shit. Like they showed one at this one scene park or whatever. It was just like dozens of couples getting married because of the eclipse, because the moon goes in front of the sun. I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Why is this? Are we this desperate? We also just had one. I guess we're in, when did we have it? I guess it was like 5 or 6 years ago, right? Maybe 9 years ago. Time's a flat circle. The next one's not for another, I guess they said 20 or 40 years. And I was just like, cool, man. Like, why is this the Great Eclipse? Is every total solar eclipse called the Great Eclipse? These are questions I should have asked and answered and brought to you, brought some value. Instead, I didn't. All right. That's all that you need to know. There's no more to know. That's another episode of Giant Mess. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Follow me on Twitter at Real Cinch. Follow me on Instagram at Real Cinch. Follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/giantmess. Follow me on YouTube. You can go to YouTube and see this fucking ugly mug. I mean, what more incentive do you need? Watch me visually melt down, because the facial expressions that I give along with the verbals are priceless. And yeah, we'll talk to you next week. Big pre-draft special next week. What are the Giants going to do at 6? Are they going to trade back? Are they going to trade up? Quarterback, receiver, offensive lineman, cornerback. I will answer all those questions. No, I will not answer all of those questions and more next week. So, yeah, let's get back on track, huh? Mentally, physically, emotionally. We've been through some tough times, but let's just dig our way out and keep going. You're stronger than you think you are. All right, that's enough. Adios, muchachos.